"The baby in my belly is yours," my boss said. And I replied, "So? I'm going to be a dad." I never imagined that the most life-changing sentence I would ever hear would come from the woman who signed my paychecks. It happened on a Tuesday night, long after the rest of the office had gone dark, when the city lights outside the glass walls of the executive floor looked like distant stars instead of real places people lived normal lives. I was still at my desk, sleeves rolled up, tie loosened, staring at architectural drawings that had blurred into meaningless lines. I told myself I was staying late to impress my boss. The truth was simpler. I didn't really have anywhere else to go. My name is Daniel Carter. I was 26, junior project coordinator at one of the most prestigious real estate firms in the city. To everyone else, it looked like I was climbing the ladder. In reality, I was invisible. The guy who fixed mistakes. The guy who stayed quiet in meetings. The guy people talked over then later took credit for. And my boss, Sophia Reynolds, was the exact opposite of invisible. She was the CEO. 34. Brilliant. Cold, at least on the surface. The kind of woman who walked into a room and made people straighten their backs without realizing why. Perfect posture. Perfect hair. Perfect control. People whispered about her behind her back, how ruthless she was, how she didn't tolerate weakness, how she crushed anyone who disappointed her. What no one ever talked about was how lonely she looked when she thought no one was watching. That night, I was about to shut down my computer when my phone vibrated. "Daniel, come to my office." No. No greeting. No explanation. My stomach dropped. I stood outside her door for a full 10 seconds before knocking, convincing myself this wasn't about layoffs or mistakes, or me finally being told I wasn't good enough. When she told me to come in, her voice was steady, but different. Thinner. Like it was being held together by willpower alone. Her office lights were dimmed. The city glowed behind her, rain streaking down the windows. She wasn't sitting behind her desk like usual. She was standing near the window, arms crossed tightly over her stomach, staring out into the night. She didn't turn around when she spoke. "Close the door." I did. That click sounded louder than it should have. "I'm going to say something," she said slowly, "and once I do, there's no pretending it didn't happen." I swallowed. "Okay." She finally turned to face me. Her eyes were red. Not tired red. Not irritated red. Crying red. "I'm pregnant," she said. My mind went blank. Before I could even process the words, she added the part that shattered what little balance I had left. "And the baby is yours." The room tilted. I grabbed the back of a chair to keep from falling. What? My voice didn't sound like it belonged to me. She took a breath, shaky but controlled. "It happened months ago. The conference trip. The night we both said shouldn't have happened. That night." I remembered everything in a rush, too clearly. The late meetings. The hotel bar. The way she laughed when she finally let her guard down. The way for once she wasn't my boss. Just a woman who looked exhausted from carrying the world alone. We told ourselves it was a mistake. A one-time thing. Something we could bury under professionalism and silence. "I didn't plan this," she continued, her voice quieter now. "I didn't even want to tell you. But I'm running out of ways to hide it." My chest felt tight. Fear. Responsibility. All of it crashing together. "You're sure?" I asked, hating how small my voice sounded. She nodded once. "There's no one else." I stared at her stomach, not visibly pregnant yet, but suddenly it felt like the most important thing in the room. My boss. Powerful. Untouchable. And somehow, vulnerable. I should have panicked. I should have worried about my job, my reputation, my future. Instead, one thought pushed through everything else. A child. Mine. I looked up at her and said the only honest thing I could. "So, I'm going to be a dad." Her lips trembled. Just slightly. "Yes." Neither of us spoke after that. The city kept moving outside the window, completely unaware that 2 lives, maybe 3, had just changed forever. And in that silence, I realized something terrifying. This wasn't just a secret. It was a storm. And it was only just beginning. The secret became a weapon, and I was the easiest target. By the next morning, the office felt different, even though nothing had changed. The same marble lobby. The same hum of elevators. The same polite smiles exchanged over coffee. Yet every step I took felt heavier, like I was walking through water instead of air. I kept replaying her words in my head, "The baby is yours," until they stopped sounding real and started sounding like a sentence handed down by fate. Sophia avoided me completely. Not in the obvious way. She didn't glare. She didn't reprimand me. She didn't even acknowledge that anything was wrong. In meetings, she spoke to me the same clipped, professional way she always had. If someone had been watching closely, they would have sworn nothing had happened between us. But I noticed the small things. She no longer made eye contact when I spoke. She scheduled meetings I wasn't invited to, then emailed me summaries afterward like I was a stranger. She stopped staying late, leaving the office before sunset with a tight expression and guarded posture, one hand often resting unconsciously over her stomach. And the rumors started almost immediately. At first, they were whispers, half sentences that cut off when I walked by, sideways glances in the break room, laughter that stopped too abruptly to be coincidence. I tried to ignore it. People always talked. That was corporate life. Then the comments became sharper. Funny how Daniel keeps getting assigned high-visibility projects, someone muttered near the copy machine. Must be nice having the CEO's attention, another voice said, not bothering to lower itself. I wanted to shout the truth. I wanted to say that attention wasn't a gift, it was a burden I didn't know how to carry. But I stayed quiet. Because if I spoke, I wouldn't just be defending myself. I'd be exposing her. And whatever mistakes we'd made, I wasn't willing to destroy her for my comfort. The real blow came 2 weeks later. We were in a full executive review meeting, department heads, board members, external consultants. The kind of meeting where careers were shaped quietly, with polished words and sharper knives hidden beneath them. I was presenting a redevelopment proposal I'd spent months refining, one I believed could redefine the firm's public image. Halfway through my presentation, Sophia interrupted me. Her voice was calm, neutral. Daniel, that section seems incomplete. The room went silent. I felt heat crawl up my neck. Excuse me? The environmental impact analysis is on the next slide. She tilted her head slightly, the way she did when she was questioning someone's competence. That wasn't what I meant. I'm concerned about your overall judgment. This proposal lacks maturity. Murmurs rippled through the room. I stood there blindsided. I'd shown her this proposal weeks ago. She'd praised it, approved it, encouraged me to refine it. Now she was dismantling it, publicly. I glanced at her, confused. She wouldn't meet my eyes. One of the board members leaned forward. Are you saying this was poorly supervised? Sophia didn't hesitate. I'm saying Mr. Carter may not be ready for responsibilities at this level. The words hit harder than any insult I'd ever heard. I nodded stiffly, finished the presentation under a haze of humiliation, and sat down knowing something fundamental had shifted. When the meeting ended, people avoided me like embarrassment was contagious. That night I stayed late again. Not to work, to breathe. Around 10 my phone buzzed. We need to talk. Please. Sophia. We met in the underground parking garage, the kind of place secrets went to hide. Her car was parked in the far corner, away from security cameras. She looked smaller than usual, wrapped in a coat that couldn't hide the tension in her shoulders. Why did you do that? I asked, unable to keep the hurt out of my voice. She flinched. Because if I don't create distance, people will notice the wrong things. You humiliated me, I said quietly. You made me look incompetent. Her eyes filled, but she didn't let the tears fall. And if I don't protect myself, they'll destroy us both. You don't know my father, Daniel. You don't know what he's capable of. That was the first time she said his name out loud. Richard Reynolds, founder, billionaire, board chairman. The man who had handed Sophia the company and never truly let go. The man who believed emotions were weaknesses and scandals were crimes. He's already suspicious, she continued. If he finds out the truth, he'll ruin you. He'll say you seduced me, that you're using me, that you're disposable. I clenched my fist. And what about the baby? Her hand went to her stomach instantly. Protective. Instinctive. I'll handle that, she said too quickly. That's when fear turned into something else. Resolve. No, I said. You won't handle it alone. She looked at me surprised. They tried to erase me. Until the truth walked into the boardroom. The day HR let me go, I didn't argue. Not because I agreed. Not because I didn't care. But because I recognized the pattern. In companies like ours, decisions weren't made in the HR office. They were made in quiet rooms by powerful people who never had to explain themselves. I packed my desk in silence while coworkers pretended not to watch. A few glanced up, eyes flickering with curiosity, like my downfall was entertainment, not someone's life unraveling. One man smirked openly as I carried a box past him, like he'd won something by seeing me lose. I said nothing. I just kept walking. Outside, rain hit my face like cold reality. My car smelled faintly of old coffee and cheap air freshener. I sat behind the wheel for a long time, staring at the building that had taken everything from me, my time, my dignity, my peace. And then my phone rang. Sophia. I almost didn't pick up. A part of me still ached from that meeting, from the way she'd cut me down in front of everyone. But then I remembered her hand on her stomach, the tremble in her voice, the fear she hadn't been able to hide. I answered. Daniel, she said, breathless. Where are you? I got fired, I replied, the words tasting bitter. Where do you think I am? No, she whispered. Oh God, it happened faster than I thought. What happened faster? I asked, though I already knew. My father, she said. He's moving. A chill ran through me. Moving how? She didn't answer immediately, like the words were too heavy to lift. He scheduled an emergency board meeting. Tonight. He's calling it a leadership review. I gripped the steering wheel. He's coming for you. Yes, she said, voice cracking. And he's using you as the weapon. The air in my lungs felt thin. Sophia, why didn't you tell me sooner? I was trying to protect you, she said, and for the first time, I heard the raw truth in it. I thought if you disappeared quietly he'd stop digging. But he didn't. He's convinced there's something going on. He's convinced I'm weak. Pause. Then her voice dropped to a whisper. Daniel, he wants me to end the pregnancy. I went completely still. What? I said. He doesn't know it's yours, she rushed. Not yet. But he suspects it's someone beneath our world. Someone unworthy. He thinks it's a scandal. He thinks it will ruin the company. He told me if I don't fix it, he'll remove me as CEO. My throat tightened. I couldn't even process the cruelty of it. A child reduced to a corporate problem. A life treated like bad publicity. You're coming tonight, she said suddenly. I blinked. What? You're coming to the board meeting, she repeated, firmer now, like she'd made a decision that terrified her but also freed her. I can't do this alone anymore. Sophia, I said carefully, I don't even work there now. That's the point, she replied. They think you're gone. They think you're finished. If you walk in there, it changes everything. My pulse thumped hard. What are you planning? She inhaled shakily. The truth. I closed my eyes, feeling the weight of what she was asking. Walking into that boardroom wouldn't just be uncomfortable. It would be war. Richard Reynolds didn't lose wars. He ended them. You're sure? I asked. No, she admitted softly. I'm terrified. But I'm more terrified of letting them decide the rest of my life. I swallowed. Okay. The silence on the line broke into a shaky exhale. Thank you, she whispered. I'm not doing it for your father, I said, staring at the rain on the windshield. I'm doing it for my child. That evening I stood outside the building again, but this time I didn't feel like an employee begging for worth. I felt like a man walking toward something bigger than pride. The lobby security guard looked up, surprised. Can I help you? He asked. I'm here for the emergency board meeting, I said calmly. His brows lifted. You're not on the list. I know, I replied. But they're expecting me. He hesitated, then made a call. A minute later No, she snapped, surprising everyone. I'm done being private. Richard stood slowly, his presence dominating the room. If you insist on making this public, then fine. Tell us who the father is. Sophia's chest rose and fell quickly. Her gaze flicked to me. And then she said the words that detonated the room. It's Daniel. Silence. Thick. Heavy. Unbelieving. Then laughter broke out. 2 board members first, then a few others, like it was too absurd to take seriously. Richard's expression twisted with disgust. Don't be ridiculous. Sophia's voice cracked but held. I'm not. Richard's gaze cut to me like a knife. You expect us to believe that my daughter, my heir, chose you? I inhaled slowly. This was it. The moment that would decide everything. I stepped forward. And without raising my voice I said, I'm not asking you to believe it. I'm telling you. Richard sneered. And what makes you think you get to speak in this room? I looked around the table at the people who had watched me get humiliated, pushed out, erased. Then I said the sentence that shifted the atmosphere completely. Because I'm not just your employee, I said. I'm the reason your company is still standing. The room froze. Richard's face hardened. Explain yourself. I nodded once. The West Harbor redevelopment contract you all celebrated last quarter? The one that saved this firm from losing its biggest investor. A board member frowned. That was Sophia's negotiation. Sophia didn't speak. She just watched me, eyes intense. It wasn't, I said calmly. The investor was pulling out. Quietly. They believed this company was too rigid, too outdated, too controlled by one man's ego. Richard's jaw tightened. They were ready to walk away, I continued. I found out by accident. I spoke to their chief analyst privately, not as a CEO, not as a board member, but as someone who listened. I redesigned the proposal in 48 hours. I built the sustainability model. I fixed the numbers. I delivered the solution that kept them in. A hush fell over the room. One board member flipped through papers, clearly remembering something. That can't be verified, Richard snapped. It can, Sophia said suddenly, voice steady now. Because I have the email chain. And the investor's signed statement. Every head turned toward her. Richard's eyes narrowed, dangerous. Sophia. She lifted her chin. You taught me to prepare for war, father? I finally did. The board's legal counsel shifted. Ms. Reynolds, you're saying Mr. Carter's work directly impacted that contract's renewal? Sophia nodded. Yes. A board member looked genuinely stunned. Why wasn't he credited? Sophia's voice broke slightly. Because I was trying to protect him from my father. The room went dead silent again, but this time it wasn't disbelief. It was realization. Richard's control was slipping and everyone could feel it. Richard slammed his palm onto the table. Enough. Even if he contributed, it changes nothing. He's still beneath us. He's still. I stepped forward again, voice quiet but firm. He's still human, I said, cutting him off. And so is your daughter. And so is the baby you're trying to erase. Richard's eyes flashed. You have no right to lecture me. I held his gaze without blinking. You're right. I don't have power in this room. I don't have your money. I don't have your name. I paused. But I have something you don't. The board held its breath. I have the ability to love someone without controlling them. Sophia's lips trembled. Tears finally spilled, silent and unstoppable. A board member cleared his throat. Mr. Reynolds, if what they're saying is true, then this situation has legal and ethical implications. Pressuring the CEO to terminate a pregnancy. Richard snapped, watch your words. Another board member spoke,